learning indicators it is better when they study in elementary school. I'm of the opinion that it is correct to let them study English. Besides, we should not neglect the as a matter of fact, learning English we must recognize that it does. Thank you for your attention.
5号3分54秒。
6号同学请上台，7号同学请准备。
Good afternoon, dear principal, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen. Taiwan should begin its English education at elementary level. The economics here in Taiwan is based on the foreign trade. We need to do business with other countries. And that makes English spoken in Taiwan, and it's really important to us. In this high-tech society, a lot of new products had been invented. More and more English technical terms or phrases are used. We must learn them to keep current in our society. So I think English cannot be learned too early. Elementary school is the golden time for us to learn so many things. So I think school life in that time is not so stressful, and we can learn English more freely, and probably it will be more fun. One of the arguments against this idea is weak. Students at the age shouldn't be forced to learn so much information. They should instead be allowed to have more time to play and to explore their own curiosities. Why should we add another subject to their list and take away the valuable playtime? Well, take me for example. My mom sent me to English cram school when I was in 5th grade. At that time, I knew nothing about English. And also, I was a little bit afraid of foreigners. Every time I saw them, I always ran away. But my mom forced me to learn and to speak out. At that time, I thought, well, I was just a kid. Why should I learn it? I should go out and play with other kids. I was not supposed to sit here and learn these boring things. After I attended middle school, I knew that I was wrong. I really appreciate what my mom had done for me. She was right. It's better for me to learn English that early. In the middle school, I didn't have to spend as much time in English because I already knew a lot about English. The last time I spent in English, the more I could get to study those subjects that I had problem with, or I can learn it more deeply. But not everybody like me is so lucky. For students whose parents can't afford this extra schooling, it's not an equal or fair situation. They are at a disadvantage. I think the one way to help even things up is to begin English education at elementary school level. Then all will have the fair chance. Only then can we raise our English ability. If we can make good use of English, our country will be more modernized. And also, we can develop it into a progressive and prosperous one. This is my speech. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you.
6号4分整。
7号请上台，8号请准备。
Good afternoon, dear principal, teachers, and schoolmates. Today, I'm going to tell you my difficulties in learning English. I love English. Owing to its extended use, I'll explore the world and learn many different cultures if I can use it fluently. However, it's not such an easy thing. There are always many problems waiting for us. The first time I touched English was when I was 10. I went to a class with a lot of students inside. I hated the class so much because I was forced to go there. On the other hand, students had to take tests every time, and it was the most awful part of all. I felt so stressful that I was eager to run away from the classroom. As a result, I don't think I learned much English in those days. I stopped studying English till I went to middle school. In the beginning, everything went smooth. I didn't have big problems in learning English. Consequently, I love English gradually. But as the vocabulary becomes longer and longer, I found it wasn't so easy for me to memorize a new word like before. Fortunately, I could overcome that as long as I spent a bit more time than other people. However, this case still haunted me when I got into high school and it became bigger. I realized that I only had a small vocabulary and phrases. While reading some articles or just a short section, I often had to be interrupted and look up unfamiliar words. But the worst thing was, I mistook my direction in learning English. This meant I wasted most of the time for studying English. What a terrible and cruel fact it is. English struck me so deeply that I almost gave it up. I'm sorry, I did forget. It struck me so deeply that I almost gave it up. I'd gotten confused till luckily met a good teacher who taught me how to study English is the most effective and practical way. The teacher encouraged me to insist on my goal and never give anything up before having a try. She said, staying humble makes you learn more. Maybe I couldn't adapt myself to a difficult course because I was too confident, refusing to study hard, and ignore the facts that I'm just a beginner. What I learned in English is just superficial. Afterwards, I correct my method in learning English. I try to increase my vocabulary and understand grammar thoroughly. In this way, I've had less and less difficulties in learning English. Although I'm convinced that I'm just a novice, having a lot to improve myself, I still feel frustrated for some reasons. There are so many students whose English abilities are better than mine. Do I really have any chance to overtake them? In addition, I'll feel depressed when I see the fruits of my efforts. Even though what I can do now is do my best and be patient. Thanks to the teacher letting me know an important concept. It's impossible to achieve success if we expect everything to be a piece of cake. No pains, no gains. I'll never give up from now on, even if there are many difficulties on my way to the destination. This is my speech. Thanks for your attention.
7号3分59秒。
8号同学请上台，9号同学请准备。
Good afternoon, dear principal, teachers, and schoolmates. I'm number 8, and the topic I'm going to talk about is the difficulties I have with learning English. It's already 6 years since I began to learn English. At the beginning, my ABCdarian taught me English by playing games. Then I had less difficulties with it. But now I'm 16 years old, and I realized that the more English words and articles I've learned, the more problems I faced. And the following are some difficulties I have with learning English between these 6 years. First is pronunciation. Once you see a word, it's hard for me, a Chinese student, to pronounce a word that you haven't even seen before. Maybe you can already say it, but usually you put the accent in the wrong place. And second is spelling. Generally to say, you may pronounce a word, you know the word when you see it, but you hardly can spell it. Even foreigners may misspell long English words, to say nothing of the Chinese. And the third is the meaning of a word. Learning a foreign language is easy for us to find many new words for me. And when I see new English words, what I often do with this word is just skip or guessing, then look it up in the dictionary later. But it really wears me out. I waste so much time on it. And the fourth is grammar. This is the most hard part for me to surmount. Basically, to say we're not foreign people at all. We don't contact English since we were children. But you know that grammar is a very huge difficult for me. What we Chinese students do is reciting the formula of all the different kinds of sentence patterns. How painful is that? And the fifth is speaking ability. Most people can say English and can communicate with others in English, but it takes some time to make all the words that you want to say in order. And that's my problem is. I asked my teachers for some advice, and what all of them said was the same. Just practice more. And the last is memorization. Once I see a word, I usually look it up, and I forget it in the next second. Then a few days or a few weeks later, I see an article. I know I've seen this word before, but I just can't remember what does it mean. How awful. And everyone has their own difficulties with learning English and their own ways to solve them. You have to invent your own way to deal with it. In these years that learning English, I faced many problems. But my dear teachers share their experience and show me many methods to settle them. Thanks for my teachers. And I find out that the most useful one is just practice and practice. Now I can almost solve my problems by myself. And thank for the person who had gave me a hand. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
8号3分43秒。
9号同学请上台，10号同学请准备。
My dear principal, honorable judges, and my dear friends. My topic today is Taiwan should begin its English education at the elementary level. Nowadays, it's an epoch of a developed and advanced lifeway. However, Taiwan is just a small island. People in Taiwan cannot make progresses without the communication with other countries. Undoubtedly, English is not only the most popular language, but also the most important one. In this case, it's not only the duty for our government to improve our English abilities, but for all the citizens in Formosa. First, I want to talk about different educational policies in different countries. They can be separated into two parts. One is EFL, and the other one is ESL. EFL stands for English Foreign Language. ESL stands for English Second Language.